Hey guys, in today's video, we're going to talk about how to build a go-to shot off the tee. Hey guys, Eric here at the Bethlehem Golf Club. I want to talk to you today about how to build a go-to shot off the tee. Now, before we dive in here, I want to talk to you guys about a couple things. Number one, as most of you know, we have launched our 2-day golf schools here in Bethlehem, PA. If you would like to learn more about our 2-day immersion events and come up and see us and hang out for 2 days, we will put the link in the description down below. Now, if you can't make it here in person like most of you can't, we also built out cogornogolf.com so I can still coach you guys individually. Now, on the membership site, we have a ton of different content, all very guided step-by-step learning. You get access to all of the master classes we have done. You get access to different courses. We have a ton of different courses, practice sections, quick fix sections, and to our Facebook community where you can post your swing so I can see what you're doing and help guide you, and you can get better with the rest of our community. Would love to see you guys there. The link in the description down below. Now, building a go-to tee shot is something that I work with people in person at our schools and online at cogornogolf.com all the time. In that, regardless of what your mechanics are or the things you're working on in your swing, you still need to have a go-to tee shot. Now, this video is being filmed right after the US Open that just happened, so it's eye-opening, hopefully, for a lot of you guys to watch that a lot of those players, kind of twofold. One, have go-to shots off the tee. They're not all just pulling full swing driver and aiming down the middle and ripping and hoping. And even with their driver or a secondary club, usually they have a go-to curve. And so that's part of what I want to talk about here is your go-to tee shot. If your go-to tee shot is aim down the middle and let it rip, that's usually not a bad, usually is a bad rather play. What I want you guys to build in is the predictability of a curve. Ideally, your go-to tee shot you feel very confident with, you know which way it's going to go, and we essentially eliminate one side of the course. Now, what I usually do with players in terms of building a go-to shot, of course it depends on where they're coming from, but is to build a fade shot off the tee. That is, if we were to pick out a fairway back here in a minute, you build out a shot that every single time starts on the left side of the fairway and curves some amount right. Now, a couple of things before we talk about doing that. If we're going to build in that pattern, and I like the fade pattern primarily for two reasons. Number one, most people watching this, probably 80+%, struggle with some form of fade, maybe even a slice. And so that is for that 80% of people, you don't really have to change much to build your fade. Maybe tweak a couple pieces, keep your normal shot pattern, and just have a backup version of it. And the second is the other 20% that don't have the fade or struggle with a hook would be better off having the fade, right? Them kind of finding the other side and finding middle. So obviously the higher speed you have, the better the player, the easier it is to build that fade pattern in. But either way, we need a predictable shot off the tee. So let's talk about how to do it. Now, if I'm hitting drives here, just a normal fairway, normal practice routine, this is where I would start, right on the range. And what I would do is I would pick some guidelines at the end of the fairway. So right now, if I'm looking at the end of the fairway, I've got a 250-yard marker, which would be my center of fairway. But I don't want you to just have a center of fairway. I want you to have fairway grids. So I would want to pick out a left edge of the fairway and a right edge of the fairway. So for me, I've got the 250 in the middle. I've got a pole at the back of the range that's going to serve as my left edge. And then I've got a 200-yard sign that's going to serve as my right edge. Now, I'd probably pick a target that's maybe 30 yards in width, 40 yards, something that looks like a normal fairway width. So you have left edge, middle, and right edge. Now, the goal of these shots is going to be twofold, right? Number one, start every ball on the left side of the fairway. Number two, make them curve all to the right. That is our end goal. When you hit a go-to shot when you're on the course, it doesn't matter if you hit them all perfectly solid or a little left or a little right. You need to know, hey, the ball's never going left. It's always going to start on a certain side, and it's always going to curve to the right. So what I would do before we talk mechanics or how to set up to adjust this is I have my targets out. That's step one. Step two is I would take a driveway marker, alignment rod or something similar, and I'd put it out in front of you about 3 yards directly in line with the center of your fairway. So I walk up to my ball, I go 1, 2, 3, and I put this right in line with the center of my fairway. And that's going to serve as a start line stick for me. I want to start all of the golf balls to the left. So I'm going to come back and check it. I placed that a little too far to the left. And let's pop that in. Now that would be a starting point where I'd have the stick down in front for for start line guidance, and that's probably even on the edge. It might take you once or twice just to kind of fix that. And now the goal is going to be able to create these shots, right? Start all the balls to the left, curve them all to the right. In the beginning, I'd like you to just kind of play around with that, right? Nothing specific. Again, what you need to feel depends on where you're currently at. And I would just say, hey, if I hit a set of 3 or 5 or 10, can I start them left and fade them to the right? As simple as that, and then build off of that. If you're able to do it by just thinking that, don't make it more complicated. If not, let's go through a couple of the setup adjustments and in-swing pieces you may need to feel to be able to create that curve. Okay, so now we're ready to test this. Let's say we hit a couple golf balls and we are or are not able to create that fade. A couple of things I would do. Number one is potentially grab another alignment rod to mark your start line. So what I like to see here too in terms of aim is I'm gonna put a stick on the ground roughly where I want the ball to start. Now as a stock model, I'm putting that about halfway between the center of the fairway and the left edge. So kind of where I want the ball to start, if I'm looking at a window out there, is in my mind, I'm imagining a line down the center and a line down the left edge, and that's sort of my window. And I want all of these golf balls to start there. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna hit a couple shots, and I'm gonna see if I can get the ball started left and curve right. Now for me, a fade is kind of my normal shot, so I'm not gonna do anything first. I'm just gonna create that. Does it start there? Does it curve? Let's go ahead and try one. Good. And that one I kind of came over a little bit. So I pulled that left. It's kind of just a straight pull. It pulled left, didn't curve right. So I would say, okay, that's 0 for 1. I'm just gonna build up and get a starting point. How many out of 5 can I do? I can do better than that though. Let's go here. Good, and that sort of same thing, just a little bit of a pull to the left. And then as you're working through these, I'm starting to look at ball flights, and I'm kind of focusing on ball flights first before mechanics. What did I say my end goal was? My end goal is start left, curve right. Okay, so now I hit 2 that started to the left but didn't curve right. My start line was fine. The issue was it didn't curve to the right. What do I need to do to be able to create that curve to the right? So for me, I'm gonna focus on a setup adjustment and a swing adjustment. So what I'm gonna do to try and get the curve is I'm gonna keep the same thing, and we'll talk through these in a minute. I'm gonna open my stance line a little bit, and I'm gonna focus on my path pass impact more to the left. Let's go ahead and feel one of those. Good, and that time I got my curve back to the right. So what adjustments would you make to be able to hit these shots? Again, we're not going for max out perfect shot, we're going for backup shots. There's a couple setup adjustments, a couple in-swing pieces that I would focus on. Let's talk about the setup adjustments first. Okay, so setup adjustments for the fade, for the backup shot. Now let's talk about ball position and aim first. If I wanted to hit a shot that starts left and curves right in terms of ball position, the one piece with ball position that would help, that would be the ball more forward. If the options are ball the same, ball back more, or ball more forward, the ball more forward is gonna help both me get the ball started to the left, and it's gonna help it curve to the right more. So I may just start with that first, just shifting the ball a little bit forward, seeing what happens with that. That would be part number one, ball position. The second part would be the aim. And there's no one way you have to do this, but essentially, if I had choices in terms of hitting a fade, and I could aim straight, aim to the right, or aim to the left with my feet primarily, but everything, I would aim a little bit to the left to help hit the fade. So now I have two things. I have the ball position a little bit more forward relative to your normal, and I have my feet slightly to the left. How far left you have to play around with. It's gonna work different for different people. There's no set rules there. Ball position more forward, feet a little bit left. Now, when I do this, I'm gonna keep my club face aimed at my start line. So my club face is gonna be pointed between the 250 and the left edge, and my feet are gonna be aimed about at the left edge. That would be a rough guideline I would give to you. Let me say that again. When you take your setup, we've got the middle of the fairway and the left edge as our sort of range you wanna start within. I would have your club face lined up directly in the middle, between the middle of the fairway and the left edge. Cut that right in half. That's where your club face is lined up. Now your feet are gonna be lined at the left edge. So my club face is slightly open relative to my feet line. And what I would do is I'd make some normal swings from there and see what I get in terms of the ball position. Good, and so what I'm seeing is when I do that, my golf balls are starting a little bit farther left than I would like them. which is fine. Like right now, I'm just building a pattern. I don't assume I'm gonna hit these all perfect. I'm just seeing what works for me. At the end of these couple of range sessions, my goal is to have a couple of feels that I have as a go-to. I know my normal shot's a fade, but my miss is a push cut. So I need to really focus on the start line. What helps me get the ball start line? So I'm gonna try that again. Have my club face pointed halfway between, feet slightly to the left, no in-swing adjustments yet. And I'm seeing that little fade shot work out there. And that one was better. So that one started right on the left edge and just peels back. Excellent. So for me, I'm essentially looking for, hey, I want to curve no balls left. I want to curve them all right. I want them to start in that window. I'm going to build this over time. I'm going to allow myself several practice sessions to be able to use this. I'm going to start with these in-swing or these setup pieces, and then there's a couple different in-swing pieces that I can help. I want to talk about those next. Okay, so in-swing pieces to help with this go-to fade. Now, ideally, the setup adjustments we just made does most of the work for us, but in swing, the primary thing I want us to focus on is two things here. Number one is the direction the club head swings, or your club path. If I wanted to hit a fade, I need my club path to be slightly to the left of the target. That means in some way, shape, or form during the downswing, either you're gonna have to have a sensation of the club working a little bit more over the top early, or over the top, right, being kind of relative, and or getting the club to work more left past impact. Most of my players choose to feel the club work more low left past impact when they're hitting that fade shot. That would be part number one I would focus on. Now, of course, if you're someone who already slices it and your path is 15 to the left, right, then you shouldn't feel more low left. You probably have to focus on the club face, okay? So club path more low left would be the go-to fade swing. The second part I'd focus on is body rotation, and body rotation during the downswing. And what I want you to get from that is that the more open I have my body, all of it, hips, rib cage, shoulders, chest, etc., the better chance for my path being to the left and hitting a fade shot. The more closed my body lines, less chance of a fade shot. So if you're trying to build in a go-to fade, path more to the left past impact, and getting your body lines more rotated or open sooner would help that. So if I put that all together, what I would say as a stock go-to thing would be, hey, ball position's more forward, feet are a little bit left, my face is pointed where I want to start. I'm going to feel during the follow through my club path, hand, shaft, work low left more past impact, and I'm going to feel like my body lines get more open. And if I overcut it in the beginning, that's fine. That's what I want my miss to be. So let's go ahead and do that. So I get the ball forward, face a little open, feet a little left, more body rotation, more low left. And that, we put it all together there. You can't see that, but Mary can, and that was perfect. That was a start down the left edge, curve back to the right. And for me, as a go-to shot, seeing the ball miss one way all the time would be perfect. Let's do that again. Ball position forward, feet a little bit to the left, face where I want to start it. I'm going to focus on path more left and body more open past impact, go-to fade shot. Let's go ahead and do that same thing. And that was another one that was perfect. All of those curving down the middle. So listen, I want you guys to build in a go-to shot. I'm saying fade here because that's what I typically would like to see. Of course, if you're someone who already slices it, you might not need to do these as much. You might need to just square that club face up, right? It all depends on where you're coming from, okay? The things you need to feel. This is just a stock model. But regardless of that, pair this with the mechanics that you're feeling so you have a go-to. If you want your go-to drive to be a draw shot, that's fine. Just flip these things. Flip everything I said. Ball position more back, aim more right, start it to the right, curve to the left, that's fine. But build in a go-to driver swing. Maybe do the same thing with a backup club like a 3 wood. Understand, like those guys at the US Open this week, you're gonna probably have to use that quite a bit. No one's ever gonna drive the ball perfect all the time. So build these things in. I would recommend starting with this. Put it towards the end of your range session. Allow yourself multiple range sessions to build it in. Test it on the course. Don't quit if it doesn't work the first time. Come back and make adjustments until it does work. Hopefully this makes sense. Hopefully you guys use a backup driver shot. If you guys have any questions, leave a comment down below. Hey guys, thanks for watching today's video. If you liked the video, please do us a favor, click the like button down below. Click the notification bell if you haven't. Also, please subscribe. Another reminder, every Monday, 5 p.m., we are live here on YouTube, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Rapid Fire Golf. Would love to see you guys there with your questions. Thanks, guys.